Hi class, we continue our study in chapter 12 talking about circles and other conic sections by moving into section 12.5, right? This is about the coordinate plane and specifically about circles. So we have three objectives in this section. The first one we want to do is write an equation of a circle. The second is we want to find the center and radius of a circle written in standard form. And then the last thing's the hardest is we want to complete the square to find the center and radius of the circle. All right, so what is a circle again? So we can use the distance formula to find an equation of a circle with center hk. So h is the x value, k is the y value, and radius r. All right, so let xy be any point on the circle. Then the radius r is the distance basically from hk, right, which is the center, to that any point xy. So the equation x minus h, notice that the h is the x value squared, plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, is what we call the standard form of an equation of a circle. Basically what you're doing is you're taking the distance formula, right, and squaring it, and that's the radius, a square. So you may also call it the standard equation of a circle. Right, so remember this and keep this handy in your notes. All right, so just to see it a visual here, an equation of a circle with center hk you can see, and radius r. All right, and remember xy is any point along the circle. Is just add that x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared every time. All right, so what is the standard equation of a circle with center? So here the center is 5, -2, and the radius is 7. Well, this looks like my h, this is my k, this is my r. So simply just plug them in. So use the given values, h is equal to 5, k is equal to -2, r is equal to 7, and the standard form of a circle. So just take your equation, like so. Plug in the values, 5 in for h. Now you keep the negative here, and then you plug in -2 for k, right, is equal to, instead of r squared, it's 7 squared. Now you'll notice the negative, that'll just become a positive. And this is the final form once you square the 7 as well. So it's x minus 5 squared plus y plus 2 squared is equal to 49. All right, what is the standard equation of a circle? I'm telling you the center is 1 comma -3, right, and that it passes through the point 2 comma 2. All right, so we need the center and the radius. All right, the radius is the distance between the center and the given point here. So what you first have to do is you have to go back and you have to use the distance formula here. All right, so the radius here is given by the distance formula, just plugging in the x values and the y values into the distance formula here. Simplifies to the following. You square those, you get the square root of 26. So that's what the radius is, okay? The radius is the distance between the center and any point on the circle, obviously. So now just plugging in here, if you look back, remember that this is the center here, so these are going to be my hk values. So as I plug them in for h and k, see I get the following. I have double negatives here. The double negatives will become positive. And then when you square a square root, they just really just cancel out. So you're left with x minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 26. Pretty straightforward. All right, let's do an example. So this is given an equation and what a graph might look like from that equation. So when we make a call on a cell phone, a tower receives and transmits the call. A way to monitor the range of a cell tower system is to use equations of circles. So suppose this equation, x minus 7 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 64, represents the position and the transmission range of a cell tower. So what is the graph that shows the position and range of the tower? All right, well, notice here what you're basically given is the center of the circle and the radius here. Well, this is the radius squared. All right, so to graph the circle, we need the center and the radius only. So here, looking at it like this, all right, notice how it's y plus 2, but remember it has to be x minus h, y minus k. So I have to write this as -2. So whenever there's a plus in there, you have to write it as -2. So the center is 7 comma -2, and the radius, 64, is the same thing as r squared. So to graph the circle, place the compass point at the center and draw a circle with radius 8. So when you do this, you would put, you'd find the center here, which would be 7, -2, and then you'd move your compass out 8 units. and then you would just draw the circle right with that compass setting that way. All right, let's graph this one. So this is weird. This is just x squared plus y squared is equal to 4. All right, so the equation can be written the standard form as follows. Notice that x minus 0 here squared is still the same thing as x squared, and the same here. And 4 is obviously just x squared. So the center of this circle is just 0, 0, and the radius is 2, and its graph is shown here. So you put your compass point in the middle of or right where the middle of the Cartesian plane where the x and y axes intersect, and you'd move the compass point out 2 units, and then you would just draw the circle just like that. All right, let's try this one. So let's just graph this x plus 1 squared plus y squared. All right, so this equation can be written in this form again. So when you see the y squared by itself, it's just y minus 0 squared. All right, so h here is equal to, remember, when there's a plus sign here, all right, h is going to be the opposite of it, or -1. K is equal to 0, and the radius here is just equal to the square root of 8, which is roughly 2.28. So the center is -1, 0, and the radius is the square root of 8. So when you go to graph it simply just like this. Right, putting your point, the center of the compass right in the middle, and drawing the circle with radius 2.8 roughly. All right, so let's find the center and radius then graph. So this one's a little hard. So I've got x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 8y. Wow, this is weird. Is equal to 16. All right, so the equation contains x squared minus something and y squared minus something terms, okay, on the same side of the equation with equal coefficients, right? All right, so when you notice that, so when the coefficients are the same in front of the x and y squared, it's a graph of a circle. So to write the equation in standard form, we group the terms involving x and the terms involving y, and then what we do is we complete the square on each variable. All right, so it look like this. First going to group the x's together, and then I'm going to group the y's together. All right, so to complete the square on the x, find the coefficient of x4, all right, of the x values. So it's just really 4 here in front of the x, all right, not the x squared coefficient, just the x coefficient. Take half of 4 and then square the result. All right, to complete the square on y, find the coefficient of just the y. It's -8. Take half of -8 and square the result. All right, so the first one here, half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is equal to 4. Over here, half of -8 is -4, and -4 squared is 16. So look at this 4 and this 16 here, okay? Keep those in mind. So add the 4 and then add 16 to both sides as following, like this. So I took the 4 that I got from here and tucked it in here. And I took the 16 that I got and tucked it in here. Next, you're going to notice that this is going to factor, right? Just the simple trinomial factors into x plus 2 squared. This simple trinomial factors into x minus 4 squared. And when you add up all these numbers, you get 36. Right? So this, well, 36 is the same thing as 6 squared. So this circle has center -2, 4 and radius 6. So when you graph it, you go to -2, 4, set your compass to 6 units, and sketch the graph and sketch the circle that way.